Hey everyone, welcome back to another Why Everyone Plays. While I was initially thinking about the next episode being like Palutena, Wolf, or the Aegis, I went to Super Smash Con 2022 last week and there was an overwhelming presence of a very familiar character that you're by no means surprised to see a Why Everyone Plays episode of if you spend even 5 minutes on Twitter. For today, we're going to be discussing arguably the most contentious fighter from the controversial Fighters Past 2. Minecraft's very own Steve, once considered a meme character, now instigating a total upheaval of the competitive scene's understanding of the meta. Now, there are plenty of characters in Smash that originated from video game series that couldn't be any more distant from the typical expectations of fighting games. For example, one of the game's premier franchises is Fire Emblem, a tactical RPG that places a heavy emphasis on units engaging in combat with enemy units to achieve victory, not unlike a game of chess. Pokemon's a franchise all about trading mythical creatures to fight others, yet we have other cast members who make very little sense on why they're even in the game at all, such as Wii Fit Trainer. Steve was thrown around player discussion boards as a joke character for who would be the most interesting to add to the game alongside Dante from Devil May Cry, Master Chief from Halo, and so on, except the latter two would have been rather appropriate additions in light of the vast amounts of source material Nintendo could reference when designing their moveset. Steve, on the other hand, was a strange one. Yes, there's technically combat in Minecraft, but the only thing you can really do with him is repeatedly whack stuff in front of you until it either breaks or dies. Conceptualizing a full-fledged moveset seemed almost unfeasible, though Sakadai and his team would prove everyone otherwise, transforming the meme character into a reality, utilizing his various tools and blocks to make a fighter that we all know and... well, I wouldn't say love, but hate is a strong word. A fighter that we all know today, let's just leave it at that. Suspending any personal bias for a moment, as someone who studied game design myself, I think his moveset was a feat of creative ingenuity. I always thought Steve's moveset would comprise a bunch of sword swings, and that's about it. But they were able to turn a lot of non-combative stuff into weapons too. Magma blocks, minecarts, flint and steel, pistons, anvils, etc. I mean, in the right conditions, they can be used to inflict damage in their game of origin, but they're not very practical. That being said, I'm surprised they never included his bow for any attack. Although his introduction to Smash as a fighting game character was very impressive to say the least, he quickly made an impression in the competitive scene, much to the dismay of the player base who is viewing his rise to prominence as disturbingly similar to what happened with Bayonetta during the latter years of Smash 4. But this video isn't about the politics of the Ban Steve movement, so that's as far as I'm gonna go in that regard. For better or worse, Steve has taken the pro scene by storm. Super Smash Con 2022 was the third largest Ultimate event to date, and the largest Ultimate event of the year, a record that will likely not be broken for the remaining months. In Top 64, there were a total of 9 Steves present. 14% of all players in Top 64 fielded Steve in some capacity, with the winner of the entire event having taken heads off of just about every top level player. Steve as a character is very hard to peg with just one word, but I feel like the archetype he most comfortably fits into is that of a trapper, one who punishes players for recklessly approaching them by setting up a lose-lose situation. Even then, you could argue he's a sword fighter in light of having disjointed hitboxes that, while not as far-reaching as that of traditional swordies, cover big chunks of area all around him from top to bottom. Another argument can be made for him being a zoner, given that he can exert pressure from a distance by mining, not posing an immediate threat to his opponent, but it still places the onus on them to approach him to prevent him from amassing a full stack of materials. On the flip side, it would be hard to label him a generalist like Palutena or Mario either, as he doesn't operate in the same sort of way. He possesses the worst initial dash in the game and very poor mobility on both the ground and in the air if we go by physics alone. Suffice to say, I have no idea what to call him. He might very well just be his own archetype. He's the only fighter to instantiate blocks virtually anywhere on the stage at will, an ability never seen before unless you want to call Pac-Man's Hydrant a block. It's this very mechanic that brings us to the first of 3 key reasons behind Steve's overwhelming popularity and equally overwhelming success in competitive Smash. Steve's most iconic attribute is his ability to mine and place down blocks throughout the stage, a feature that actually forced the development team to retroactively reconfigure every single stage in the game to not only offer a different set of blocks that he mines based on what he's standing on top of, but also allow him to physically place blocks in a grid-like format. Behaving exactly like solid platforms and walls, this grants him all the ramifications of them. For one, he can maintain his grounded status by jumping and placing a block underneath him, just like in regular Minecraft. So while he has the shortest jump height in the game, it's circumvented by theoretically having infinite jumps. For another, Steve can place a wall behind him just before taking damage, artificially increasing his endurance by letting him survive otherwise fatal attacks either by teching when hitting the wall or being bounced in the other direction. And of course, by placing down blocks, he can limit the freedom his opponent has when trying to approach him, recover, etc. Platform fighters are inherently predicated on a player's ability to position themselves as favorably as possible and to avoid being in a position that exposes them to attack without offering the same amount of exposure in return. Since a lot of Ultimate's gameplay takes place in the air, more specifically off stage, being able to create your own platforms on demand poses a near infinite number of position-based interactions, consequently enabling a near infinite number of options for Steve that no other character in Smash has access to, or at least nowhere near to the same extent. Block is widely considered one of, if not the best neutral B in all of Smash Ultimate. Entire game plans are formed around a character's ability to utilize platforms or stages to their advantage. Projectile zoners or ground-based fighters are indirectly stronger on flat stages like Final Destination, Town and City, and Kalos because their opponents can only land on a single elevation. For instance, Kazuya is extremely dangerous when taken to FD. Conversely, some characters make very good use of platforms, usually those who excel in juggle scenarios or those who close the majority of their stocks off the top instead of the sides. Mario's ladder combos can be made even more devastating on stages like Battlefield, whereas upper strings can carry his opponent from platform to platform where down air or up special kill much earlier. We're already seeing how Steve can impressively abuse platform creation, giving him some of the best low to mid % damage racking combos in the game. But if this was on any other character, it would be 2 or 3 times more ridiculous. While blocks gradually break apart over time, and that can be accelerated by hitting them with attacks either by Steve or his opponent, having a physical wall up, even for a brief moment, can make all the difference. You can completely screw over a Ness, Fox, or Cloud from recovering by putting blocks above them, or you can defend yourself from long-range projectiles with a dirt wall. I simply can't overstate the amount of possibilities that come from Steve's block. I haven't even gone over the stuff like being able to use grounded smash attacks in the air. Steve can use forward smash, up smash, and down smash mid-air. Hell, he can even mine blocks while standing on a block he places down. He's the only one in the game who can regain ledge invincibility by planking, something we haven't seen since Brawl. Naturally, when you're at the highest level of competition, players will be extremely proficient at exploiting the full range of privileges given through blocks, and that's only one of the things that make him very popular. Reason number 2 is simple yet very important. Steve is overtuned. When used in video game context, an overtuned character denotes anyone or anything that is unreasonably more efficient or more difficult to realistically overcome. And that's a very apt way to describe Steve. If we take his offensive attributes in tandem with blocks and line them up with the rest of his properties, the numbers are heavily inflated in favor of him. For starters, frame data. Steve's numbers are the same caliber as that of a close quarters fighter like Mario or Fox. Jab and forward tilt come at frame 4 or 3 for gold. Since he can move with it, that leads into several more of them, each doing on average 4 to 5% depending on your weapon. Up tilt is frame 6 and can also be used while moving, not to mention how insanely safe on shield it is despite being a grounded move. And it does a ton of damage, especially when linking into up air, which does even more damage. Down tilt is noticeably slower than the rest of his kit, but the hitbox descends off the ledge, making it an easy 2-frame option. On the ground, it's plus 5 on shield. If an attack is positive on shield, that means it's unpunishable even if you block it. Dash attack is frame 8, forward smash is frame 13 or 10 with gold. Up and down smash are both frame 8 as well. These are very fast attacks for how strong they are. If you ever got hit by a diamond forward smash or an up smash, those attacks kill as early as Roy's while being equally as fast if not faster and having more range and no sour spot. This of course extends to his aerials. Steve's sword variant of forward and back air come out on frame 4, granting him a frame 7 at his shield both in front and behind him. Those sword aerials can then link into his regular forward and back air, which have extremely good damage and kill potential, the latter being notorious for having better damage and kill power than even Arsene back air when he's using diamond. Steve's up air is almost identical to his up tilt, and since he can chain well over 6 or 7 at a time, that's an average of 50 to 60%, and down air is one of the strongest down airs in the game, easily killing most characters under 100% with bad DI. He can also footstool into down air at a shield, granting him a frame 4 kill option against poorly spaced attacks. Despite having the same overall frame data as a boxer, Steve has damage racking and KO potential very reminiscent of a heavyweight fighter, with many of his big moves like down air, smash attacks, powered rail minecart, or back air killing well below 100% in the right conditions. It can even be considered superior to Roy, who possesses incredible knockback in relation to his attack speed. Not only that, but Steve's also very generous in terms of ease of access. Barring tech options like cancelling your landing lag with block at the apex of your jump, his main combo moves like jab, forward tilt, forward air, up tilt, and up air all lead into his other kill moves. His up tilt and up airs can ladder combo you towards the ceiling where he can then use up smash to finish you off, or sword back air into regular back air true combos into itself at a shield. Speaking of up smash and back air, landing a command grab via minecart effectively guarantees either option, as no matter how hard the opponent tries to mash out of it, they'll be stuck in the pop-up animation for a good half a second or so, giving Steve plenty of time to position himself for a kill. All in all, his numbers are just really good for how accessible they are. Up tilt and up air strings or even forward tilt and forward air strings can instantly send anyone from 0 to 70% just like that, and he has no shortage of ways to kill you on top of that. Ordinarily, combo heavy characters are balanced out by their difficulty in closing out stocks, as shown by Joker without Arsene, Sheik, Bayonetta, and so on. It's a little too apples to oranges of a comparison, but fundamentally, Steve has the same combo game as Sheik and Bayo, but with actual kill setups, and it's not like he can only accomplish this with diamond tools. Wood, stone, and iron have the exact same combo potential, and gold weapons are just straight up unfair. Steve players often like to downplay the extent of his pressure by saying his attacks are limited in supply. And they're not wrong, but the numbers are still heavily skewed in favor of them. Tools don't exhaust in durability fast enough to diminish the sheer power and speed they possess. On the subject of the so-called weaknesses of Steve being completely overshadowed by his strengths, he's not without flaws. I for one don't believe Steve is as blatantly overpowered as the likes of Bayonetta in 4 and Meta Knight in Brawl, but I'd be lying if I said that cons justify the amount of pros. And though he does have cracks in his armor so to speak, they're not egregious enough to balance the scales. His most noteworthy shortcoming is that his physics are pretty garbage in a vacuum. His walking and dashing are among the worst in the game, his jump height is the worst in the game, and his air mobility is subpar. But he has 3 phenomenal burst mobility tools, trivializing his lack of mobility in their own ways. First being Minecart, the regular and powered rail versions allow him to travel a fixed distance very quickly, and he has the freedom to hop off at any point after traveling a certain amount. Apart from that, usage of Minecart halts all velocity, and the added jump allows him to extend his recovery distance vertically. Second, Elytra. Gliding was taken out of flying characters like Charizard, Pit, and Meta Knight in Brawl in light of being too generous with how far they can travel, but they reinstated it through Steve. Elytra has basically limitless horizontal range, and its verticality isn't that bad even without a jump start. Essentially, you're not gimping Steve, you have to kill him the old-fashioned way. Third is Anvil, nullifying his low fall speed and gravity and the issues that come with it for 2 reasons. Against anyone without a reflector, Anvil is one of the most dangerous attacks in the game, having comparable force to that of Bowser Bomb if not more. Additionally, like Minecart, Steve can decide to jump off at any time, presenting a ton of landing mix-up potential. And of course, lest you forget, he can just place a block down and chill up in the sky, he doesn't even have to land. These factors combined with his excellent frame data and added shield options means the only point where you can realistically press your advantage against him is in the mid-range. If you're too far from him, he can stay out of harm's way by staying on a block or counter with Minecart and or Anvil. If you're too close to him, he could potentially combo break with up air or nair, so your best bet is to play the mid-range, hence why many have began to secondary Cloud or Sephiroth who specialize in that kind of stuff. Despite that, Steve's not too bad in the mid-range either, and remember with Powered Rail, Minecart, and or Anvil, he can gap close on you very quickly from above or the side, let alone how badly he screws over Cloud's recovery and how easy it is to one-shot Sephiroth. So even the characters who are designed to handle this kind of playstyle most effectively have to tread a very fine line and can't over or underextend said line. Also, thanks to blocks, Steve can live up to extreme percents despite being a rather lightweight character. If you're standing right near the edge of the stage but he puts up a wall behind him, you have to now account for the fact that he can tech if he collides the wall, or he has to be at unreasonably high percents to still have enough terminal velocity to die off the opposite end of the stage. In essence, Steve's meteoric rise to infamy is threefold. The first is that he possesses tools literally no one else has, allowing access to an endless amount of techniques, combos, and unpredictable jank that no one can even remotely fathom and thus be prepared for unless they themselves play Steve. Or in layman's terms, Steve players are guaranteed to have the element of surprise on their side. The second is that he's just inherently strong. He hits just as hard as a heavyweight while having the frame data of a brawler type character while having disjoints on almost all of his moves. Not enough to be considered a sortie per se, but in a similar vein to someone like, say, Game & Watch. The third is that every weakness he has also is a workaround. Some might either mitigate or outright suppress it altogether. So when you take its incredible efficiency and join it together with unprecedented levels of unpredictability, it makes her a character that is not only very confounding to face off against, but also very exhausting to go up against. True, Steve is not without vulnerabilities, but in order to expose them, you have to overcome a massive wall, figuratively and literally, to get even a chance at that. Not a guarantee, a chance, and that is why so many players are picking up Steve. Now, I'm honestly not sure how far or for how long will his reign of terror continue before players begin to adapt, but I have a feeling we're about to find out as we enter the fall season, so only time will tell if Steve is really the Bayonetta 2.0 that everyone is doomsaying him to be. For the time being, let me know your thoughts on Steve in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like and subscribe. Consider following me on Twitter at Vars, joining my Discord server, and checking out my previous Why Everyone Plays episodes if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.